How crazy is that? How crazy is that the robot immediately made that? That's a great poem. That could be in a museum, a poem museum. All right. My name's Guy Hutchinson. I'm the host of Drunk on Disney. I'm also a writer of books. And I love dog movies. And so this panel is called Talkin' Dog Movies, because we're going to talk dog movies, and Talking Dog Movies, because some of the dog movies we're going to talk about have talking dogs, which really is the best kind of dog. We're going to start by going through some of the all-time great dogs. This is Strongheart. Strongheart is one of the dogs that has a star on the Walk of Fame. Strongheart, his real name was Etzel von Oranger. I love a dog that has a last name. He was better known as Strongheart. He was a male German Shepherd, one of the earliest canine stars. Most of his films are lost, but here is a clip where we can see Strongheart. There he is. He's tied up. He would be in like these real action-y silent films. Yeah, look, he can't get out. He's struggling in that net. And this, oh, here we go. Say, that Strongheart belongs to Boston Blackie. The only reward you cooked up is a lot of lead. Yeah. Well, what he's saying is Boston Blackie's going to come and shoot them. Boston Blackie was like a detective or something. But anyway, it's Strongheart. And that guy was going to get a lot of lead, which means he's going to get one of these. Here's Strongheart's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So, the next one on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is Rin Tin Tin. Let's take a look. The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. Rin Tin Tin was the dog's real name, but the owner called him Rinty. Look at him. So Rin Tin Tin was a big star on the Walk of Fame. The third one, you guys could probably guess, is Lassie. Lassie is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They've done a lot of Lassie movies over the years. I think the last one, though, the last feature one was like 97. The one with Tom Guiry, the kid from The Sandlot. I'd love them to reboot Lassie. I feel like Lassie never gets old. Things, though, that do get old are films like Dogville. I'm going to show you the Dogville shorts. This was a series of shorts came out from MGM from 1929 to 1931. These were early talkies. These are a lot of fun, but this is something you would not do today. You got all the drunks. This is the other side. That was like the hoi polloi. Here's the fancy people. Oh, he's getting a little fresh with it. She don't like it. And so she waddles away. They would shoot these. We're going to talk about Toto in a second, but they would shoot those scenes. They'd have like taxidermied hands that they'd use. So they had a couple taxidermied hands so that they could kind of do things, but they still had the dexterity of a dog. Toto, the dog Toto was named Terry. Terry was born in 1933, lived to 1945, so pretty good dog age. Female terrier, played Toto in The Wizard of Oz. This is a monument that they put up more recently, I don't know, like maybe in the early 2000s, late 90s. The trainer for Toto. Toto appeared in other films, by the way, not just Wizard of Oz. But the trainer, like most trainers do, buried the dog when the dog passed on his property. You know, he had a farm, and then eventually his property became part of the highway, so they kind of dug it up. But this marker was put in the general area of where Toto was buried. But Toto, I mean, you know, one of the all-time greatest. Let's take
The mental community. I'm taking him to sheriff to make sure he's destroyed. Destroyed? Toto? Oh, you can't. You mustn't. Uncle Henry, you won't let her, will you?
Of course we will.
think Toto doesn't even know he's in the movie. He's just like hanging out. By the way, Margaret Hamilton is like the greatest villain in the history of motion pictures. It's like, I mean, she could take on whatever Marvel villain you have. I'd rather face than have to deal with this woman. Petey the pup from Little Rascals. They actually drew that circle around his eye. Petey the pup was fantastic. Benji. So Benji, one of the biggest canine stars of all time. Benji, the first film came out in 1974. That's the one there. Just a fantastic film. The guy who was making it was a man named Joe Camp. And Joe needed a dog that could do a lot of stuff because he had this movie and he wanted the dog to be able to do a lot of tricks and, be able to walk up here, look over here and do, everything that he needed for this story. And if you see the first Benji, it's not really like your standard kids film. It's more of like, it's a kidnapping drama. But it's a film that's good for kids, but it's not necessarily just made for kids. And he needed this dog to be able to emote on screen. And so he was talking to a man named Frank Inn. And Frank Inn was a great animal trainer. He was also quite a character. If you ever see him, he would wear a skipper hat all the time. He always looked like he had like a big long beard and looked like a fisherman. So he had like the skipper's hat, and he would train different dogs. And so Benji, this dog, had already appeared. The dog was named Higgins and had appeared on the show Petticoat Junction. And so it was a little dog, like when you see the girls are all bathing in the water tower and they all pop up and then the dog pops up. That was the same dog. And it was a retired dog. It was a very old dog at this point. And the trainer said, "This is the only dog I've ever had that can do the stuff you need." He's like, "But he is a very old dog." And the guy said, Joe said, "Yeah, I want him. Let's try it out." So they brought Higgins out of retirement. Higgins, they said the first scene that they're shooting, he says, Frank Inn's sitting there just screaming at the dog. He's like, "Left, move, click, climb," yelling everything at the top of his lungs. And then like halfway through, Joe was like, what's going on? Why are you? And he's like, "Oh, this dog can't hear at all." He's like, I have to scream for this dog to hear. But he said everything he told him to do, that dog could do. And then the movie came out. The movie was a super big hit. I mean, it was like a phenomenon. It actually opened in Los Angeles only, and it was such a success that Johnny Carson joked about it. They joked about it on Sanford and Son, and literally only people in Los Angeles had the ability to see it. It was not playing nationwide yet. It slowly rolled out. And it was a massive, massive hit. But shortly after the movie came out, the dog passed away. It was a very old dog, and he passed away. And Joe said, "I want to do a star-studded funeral and have like Lassie there and all these other dogs." And they talked him out of it. And we'll get to that later because it actually happened in another movie. But Benji then appeared in Joe Camp did his follow-up. He was like, "I'm do something a little different," and he did a movie about a regiment of camels in I think the Revolutionary War. There was a regiment of camels. There was a movie called Humps. Very strange movie. And Benji has a cameo in it. And then he went back to the Benji well. The Benji well was working, so he did For the Love of Benji, which starred Benji's daughter, Ben Jean. So they took Benji's daughter. So most of the Benji movies, it was Ben Jean. It was a female dog that played Benji. Benji had a Christmas movie. Benji also had the Double MacGuffin, which is it's not a starring role at all. It's like another cameo, but it was again Joe trying to do something different, but he knew people wanted some Benji. So there's a scene where the hotel fire alarm goes off, and the trainer of Benji, in his captain's hat and his underwear, walks through the lobby with the dogs as everybody's trying to get out of the building. But Benji stuck around for a long time. Benji did a whole lot of stuff. They had a Commodore 64 game. They had a comic strip, like a daily comic strip for a short time. I'm going to show you a little clip of Benji here. This is, I think this is from the first film. This is actually the very opening of the film. And you can see a lot of this is one shot. So they had to have this dog that could do exactly what he wanted. And there it is. It's backwards. You want to avoid copyright when you download stuff. Benji did a movie called Benji Takes a Dive at Marineland. I shouldn't say a movie, a special. And this was Marineland. I believe this one was the Marineland in Florida, not the one in California, but I'm not sure. But there is still a Marineland in Florida, and it's like a swim with the dolphins kind of place. The one out on the Pacific Ocean is now like apartments. So, but they had wanted to get the Muppets to do this special, and they wrote it. And they got like halfway through production, pre-production, and then the Muppets dropped out, so they had to create new puppets. So that's this guy you see over here. Frank had a special thing so Benji had this helmet. He actually does dive underwater in the movie. And if you look below his chin, you can see like a little spot. And that was, they had drilled this hole in the helmet and they corked it. So they put like a cork in there to keep the water from coming in. And the reason was Frank had to train Benji to do these stunts, underwater, because Benji swims around underwater with this helmet on. And so he had to train the dog to do this. And he said the problem was he was training him in the pool, and he said by the time he'd get the helmet off of her, she forgot what she did. So he'd give her the steak, and she'd be like, thanks? I don't remember. He's like, the dog's memory wasn't good enough to know, I'm getting this because of what I just did 10 minutes before you took this helmet off. So all the dog thought was, helmet comes off, I get steak, But so he drilled this hole so he could feed the dog through there. And so they said that the dog, took to the water very good, and the special is a lot of fun. I think this one's on YouTube. So if you're looking for something to watch, it's not long either. I think it's a half-hour special. Here's a weird one. Oh Heavenly Dog. This was 1980. This was them trying to bring Benji into the world of adult comedy. So I'm going to show you the trailer for this, a much more grown-up and very weird Benji movie.
Bad news. The good news is
Call me on Friday.
he's going to make a date.
Call you Friday.
The
Why there's
bad
no sound?
news is he's going to be late.
Yeah, I don't know why there's...
Now, if you just sign here,
What am I signing?
you're acknowledging that you are dead and you agree to all the terms and conditions thereof.
But
doesn't want to... It's weird.
incredibly enough,
Okay, I'll try to describe this. So Chevy Chase plays a man who was he was killed. He died, and so he's kind of a real jerk.
Excuse me.
And they turn him. He goes to like this purgatory, and they turn him into a dog and send him back to save his own to solve his own crime. And so now, so this dog now is Chevy Chase. So all of Benji's thoughts we hear them in Chevy Chase's voice. Omar Sharif is the villain in this. Occasionally, like this scene here, you'll see Chevy Chase pretending to be a
Why
dog.
don't you stand up?
I am standing up.
Jane Seymour.
How about if I just
He
go to
also
BJ
falls in
Shore?
love with. I think this is Jane Seymour.
Omar Sharif.
He falls in love with her. Hold on, wait till you see what's coming up.
Robert Morley.
Look at.
And Benji.
He's like, this is the golden age of.
I gotta run. Turn the lights off.
In an adult
So hold on, there's one more scene I want you to see. A
mystery.
lot of gunplay. There's a lot of mystery, and then again, he has a romantic interest in this woman, and I just want to point that
Oh,
out.
Heavenly.
All right, I hope we can get sound on this one, but if not, this one is far more visual. So this was a television show. I always say this was like the best Sid and Marty Krofft TV show that wasn't made by Sid and Marty Krofft. Benji, Zax, and the Alien Prince. This was a TV show, came on in the 1980s, was one of those syndicated like live action shows. It was about, you had this alien who kind of resembles E.T., but it's a robot, but it's got like, you can see the head there and the neck, and the alien floats around. You got Benji being a dog, and then you've got this alien prince, this guy from outer space. You have questions. I'm not sure I can answer them, but I will try. Yes, he definitely looks like Wally. This predated Wally, but he looks a lot like
You know,
Wally.
he also looks like, this is really going nerd, the robots from the black hole.
Oh yeah,
That's Disney.
Well, he's also rounded, like the Well, let's take a look. Here is a scene, and again, we got no sound. What if I unplug this? I might be able to do it this way. Hold on.
Benji, listen to me. Go to the wheel. Fix that twerking wheel.
Oh, sorry, I hit the mouse. I'm sorry, it's my fault. Here we go. I think now, if you guys can hear this, just nod politely.
The plane.
All right. So they're locked out of the cockpit.
Go to the wheel.
You see, there's the alien.
Twerking wheel. Put your feet up on it.
So Benji's gonna fly the plane.
Toward the front of the plane.
There he goes. And then they crash and just sit in a thing of flames. And they're like, Benji can fly the plane, he just can't fly it well.
We tried.
No, so that, I mean, like Benji flying the plane is like probably as normal as an episode gets on that show. I was watching that one night. Somebody called and they were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just watch an old show." "Oh, what show is it?" And I described it, and I was like, "And right now Benji's flying a plane." And I'm like, "Why are you watching this?" I was like, "No, the question is, why isn't everyone watching this?" That's the question. The question isn't why are we in this room watching Benji fly a plane. It's why are the other people not? These are three more Benji films. So Benji the Hunted was the Disney one. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's a wonderful movie. It has Frank Inn, the trainer of Benji, plays himself in it. So if you want to see what he looked like, you can see him in that. And I think he's got a pipe too in this. I mean, he's really going all in on the fisherman look. And this movie, it is almost entirely done without talking, without humans. So early on, you find out Benji's lost, and he plays Benji. They're like, Benji, the TV star and movie star dog, is lost, and he ends up on this island, and he has to protect these mountain lion cubs after the mountain lion cub mom dies trying to kill Benji, trying to kill and eat Benji. You know, because circle of life. That's what happens. You know. And Benji can really emote. There are scenes in that first Benji with the kidnapping where Benji spots the kids that are kidnapped, and I mean, the dog didn't know what he was doing, you know, but it so looks like it. Like the eyes in that dog, you could see like this dog trying to figure out what to do, and you know the trauma associated with it. In the 2000s, I want to say like 2006, they made Benji Off the Leash. Wasn't a big success. It was a theatrical film. It was about them trying to find a new Benji. Weirdly, Joe Camp is a character in the movie. He directed the movie, but he hired somebody to play himself, and the guy he hired didn't look anything like him. And when I say that, like you think, oh, he got like a more handsome looking guy that was... No, he got a guy that looked older and fatter than him, like a guy that looked nothing like him at all. It was like, it was a weird choice. It was like Joe's like a rail thin, you know, real rugged guy, and he got this guy that was older, and I guess he was like, you know what, this guy looks more nice than me. This guy has the... But this movie was made by Blumhouse, the Benji from, I want to say like 2015, and it's on Netflix, and it's sort of a remake of the first movie. It's like one of those reboots where they kind of take the concept of the first script and totally rewrite it, and it's great, and I do recommend that one a lot. All right. Now I want to talk to you about, we talked about Rin Tin Tin earlier. They did a parody of Rin Tin Tin and other dog movies in the 70s. It was a film called Wonton Ton, the Dog Who Saved Hollywood. And this movie has so many old-time actors. So if you know a lot about silent films, you'll recognize them. I love silent films. I do recognize some of the people when I've watched this, but other ones, it's one of those where in the credits, like at the end of the movie, they keep showing you the still pictures of the people you saw, so that you're like, oh, that's, you know, and they have like everybody. They were like, oh, we have 3 Keystone Cops that are still alive. Let's put them in this movie, because it's a movie about like the silent era of film. So they got everybody that in the 70s was still around from that era, and a ton of other modern stars from the 70s. I'm going to show you the trailer for this.
Spectacular, unbelievable, stronger than Superman, and
There's Art Carney, Bruce Dern,
Who is it?
Madeline Kahn.
Dog. A dog can't knock.
He's the dog who's got everything except Esty Del Rouge, the woman he loves, played by Madeline Kahn.
So it's a very funny movie. It's super dated, but intentionally. I mean, it was a movie from the 70s about the 20s. But I also recommend this. This was a movie that I looked at for years. I was trying to find this movie. Like there was that time period where we had, movies that had never come out on VHS, and then DVD came around, and some of them started to come out on that. Now, like with streaming, every company's like, what do we have? We don't do any work. Like, because like making VHS tapes, you have to print a certain amount, so you have to know you're going to sell them. DVDs were the same way, but now it's like, whatever, if a studio has something, they can put it out and charge you $2 to watch it, or sell it as in, package to some streaming service. So it's probably easy to come by now. I know they did put it on DVD eventually. That was how I finally saw it, but I had been curious about this one for a while, and it lives up to all the weirdness that it sounds like. All right, here is a classic. I think a lot of you guys will know this one.
Who brought you Ghostbusters, Kindergarten Cop, and Twins, proudly presents the biggest dog star of them all. Beethoven. Wherever there's trouble.
When I was a kid, when I was younger, I saw this movie and I was like, that dad's such a jerk. Yeah. And now I watch it and I was like, you know what, he's kind of reasonable. Dog's causing all kinds of havoc.
Wherever there's danger.
Oh my gosh, Emily's in the pool! Help!
Wherever there's food.
It's so great. Oh yeah, here's where and he pulls like the whole tablecloth off and all the food. Look at this.
Look who's coming to the
That's
rescue.
David Duchovny, isn't it?
What's that?
That's David Duchovny's in it as well.
I don't know. It could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great, right? Yeah, Beethoven was such a, and it was interesting that they used the name Beethoven. There's no real good reason for it, but it's catchy. It's like everybody's like, well, we already know that name, I think that I probably, if you say Beethoven, think first about this dog rather than. But this dog did accomplish a lot. It was a huge hit movie. They followed Beethoven with the second one, Beethoven second. Now in this one, Beethoven has a family. He's got like a wife and kids. Okay? And so there's a whole nother adventure in that one. And then they did some more sequels. But here's the crazy thing. When they started doing the sequels after like part 3 and on, they got rid of the family because they were like, we can't really be sending Beethoven on these adventures when he's got a wife and kids at home. He really should be staying with his wife and kid, taking care of them. He can't be like roaming around the country, with a toilet seat around his neck and toilet paper hanging off his paw. I mean, he should be home. So they did a bunch of these, and the weird thing about them is that they're like he has like a different family at one point. It's like they just they never explain why he has a different family, and then they bring back like people from previous movies. Like the continuity's all over the place. After Beethoven's Fifth, they did Beethoven's Big Break. And I mentioned before Benji's funeral, that they wanted to have a funeral for Benji. In this movie, part of the plot is that and it's early in the movie, so I know you guys are like, no spoilers, please. I've been waiting to watch Beethoven's Big Break until after this panel. But early on in the movie, the producers of Beethoven decide that they're going to kill off Beethoven because they're not going to kill Beethoven, but I believe the storyline reason is that Beethoven's lost. They lost him, so they're like, oh, we'll do a whole funeral and whatever. And Beethoven, I think in the movie, like he leaves because he doesn't want to be a star or whatever. But it doesn't matter. But they do the star-studded funeral, which was based on Joe Camp's idea for the funeral. The director thought it'd be very funny. It's a fun movie. It's weird. It's about the making of the first movie, but it's totally fictional. So you see like a guy playing Charles Grodin, and you see like, you know, the turkey get pulled off the table. He did a Christmas movie. He did Beethoven's Treasure Tale. And I want you to remember Beethoven's Treasure Tale because the idea of treasure and dogs as a last sequel comes up again later. Very soon, actually. First, we're going to talk about Air Bud, America's greatest athlete. Let's take a look.
The dog is in the house.
Like, here's the thing. Like, today, that would be a TikTok that would get like 200,000 views. And that would be it. Like, people are like, all right, that dog can hit the ball through the hoop. Big deal. Then they were like, the dog can hit the ball through the hoop. Let's start an entire production company, make a feature film about this.
Wasn't he on like Stupid Pet Tricks or something?
He was, and I believe it was the same dog from Full House. So like the golden retriever from Full House, but it was that the dog could really do this. So I think he was on David Letterman's Stupid Pet Tricks, was on like the Today Show, and people are like, this is amazing. This dog, you know, can hit a ball off his nose, and you know, and with some aim and accuracy.
Walt Disney Pictures presents the story of two unlikely friends who saw their shot.
What the heck's going on here? Ain't no rules that the dog can't play basketball.
Ain't no rule says a dog can't play basketball. Yeah, I do enjoy this movie. This movie is a lot of fun. What's weird about this movie is like the whole first third of the movie, Air Bud is lost, and the little kid sees him and tells people about him, and then he leaves these pudding cups to try to get the dog to come to him, much like Elliot and the Reese's Pieces in E.T. It's like the first third of the movie, I'm like, so they remade E.T. with a dog that could play basketball. All right, so here's the thing. We're going to go through the sequels of Air Bud, but I just want to say this. Air Bud could do one thing. He could hit a ball off his nose into a hoop, but for the purposes of the film, he had to do a lot more. He had to be far more athletic. And I want to show you this because this, to me, I think is the funniest clip of them trying to make you believe a dog can play baseball.
There's a ground ball to the right side of the infield for a base hit.
Run home!
It looks like Buddy's gonna try to score.
Slide!
He's going to slide. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's great. Like, he would swing the bat by just putting it in his teeth and going like this, and then they'd cut to the ball like flying way over the fence. Like, whoa. So yeah, he tackled basketball. That he did, and the names are great. The first one's Air Bud because it's Air Jordan, and then the second one you've got Golden Receiver, the football one. Then you got World Pup, the soccer one. Seventh Inning Fetch, the baseball one, and then Air Bud Spikes Back, where so. Like, they started, like, kind of adding to it. They were like, well, we can give a raccoon. And then later they were like, how about a talking bird? You know, they were... And these were made by a guy named Robert Vance. And Robert Vance had a vision of putting animals in movies. He also did a movie called MVP, Most Valuable Primate, where a chimpanzee plays hockey. And... there is a sequel where that chimpanzee gives up hockey and he starts extreme skateboarding, and it's called MVP2, Most Vertical Primate. But in the first one, the chimpanzee plays hockey, and the director, there's a commentary track, so I was like, oh, I gotta listen to this. And so the director, the guy like is asking him questions on the commentary track, and he's like, how did you get the dogs the apes to play hockey? How'd you get them on the skates? And he was like, it was no problem. You put the skate on their foot and they immediately figured out how to skate. Like, you know, chimpanzees had no problem skating. He's like, the hardest thing to get them to do was to get them to eat cereal. He's like, he's like, there's a scene in the movie where there's a bowl of cereal and the chimpanzee's eating the cereal, and he's like, the chimpanzee would not eat it, would just kept like, didn't want to touch it, and so they ended up having to put yogurt instead of milk, because they said for whatever reason the milk with things floating, it was freaking the chimp out. The chimp was like, hey, look, I don't know what you're trying to feed me here. And so they said and so when you watch the scene, it's like clearly, weirdly, you're like, this is so weird. Why would somebody put yogurt with cereal together? You're not like, why is a chimpanzee sitting at the table? So you would think that that's enough, right? That's 5. That's enough. But no, they then did the Air Buddies movies. So we started out with the first Air Buddies. Now the Air Buddies, it's kind of like Paw Patrol, if you're familiar with Paw Patrol, where you have like a whole bunch of male dogs and then one female dog, which is Rosebud. Now I'm going to try from memory to tell you the personalities of these dogs. So this. You know, so if I have any blanks, I'm going to see if I can get them right, though. We have Rosebud, she's got the pink bow. Then at the bottom, we got B-Dog. He likes to break dance, and because each one of them took on the traits of their owners. It's like some kind of werewolf thing. What's that?
Like rap.
Yeah, you like rap, yeah.
His owner wanted to be like a rap star or something.
That's right.
Like a kid. So they were just like busting in a room.
But yeah, the owner wants to be a rap star, and the dog not only breakdances, does a backspin at one point, and it's like clearly a CGI dog takes over. And you know what? Here's my thing. I get it's a CGI dog, but I still think it's animal abuse to force a CGI dog to breakdance. All right, so the next one here, you got the football playing one, which is Mudbud, because he likes to get down and dirty. Is that wrong?
Butterball.
That's Butterball. So Butterball is always like, pull my paw, and then he passes gas. And he plays football. All right. And then, so up here you have Buddha, who is like B-U-D, and then dash G-U-H or whatever. But it's to emphasize the bud part of it, because they couldn't say Buddha. And that's the real serene dog. And then... Yeah, like he does like yoga, and like he sits.
Like I don't know how to get a dog to do that, but he'll do like the yoga thing, like they sit like in Zen. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, so he finds enlightenment and everything, and then there is, and then the last one's the one I said before. Who was it?
He's like Mudbud.
And he just likes to, so whenever there's dirt, and his owner's the same way. It's like a 8-year-old kid that's like, oh, a pile of mud, hold on, let me start rolling around in it. So they followed that up with Snow Buddies, where they're like in Alaska and they're pulling a sled. Then there was Space Buddies, where they went to outer space. Then you had Santa Buddies, where they saved the day and helped Santa. Santa, by the way, played by Norm from Cheers. And then you had Spooky Buddies, where there was a dead dog. You could see in the top, there's a ghost of a dead dog, this like beagle. And yeah, it's Halloween time, and they investigate this mystery. And remember I told you Beethoven's Treasure Tale was the last of the Beethoven series. Treasure Buddies is the last of this. So it's like, that's like the way to go out there. Like, well, it looks like our series is coming to an end. Let's have them search for some treasure. I am going to, and look at the camel there, by the way. That camel's like, he was waiting for a camel movie, but it never came. And then one day...
That's the same spider monkey gets played in every single movie.
Oh,
yeah.
right? He's in everything.
Yeah. Spider monkeys are great, man. You can. All right, I want to show you. So
had some animal they wanted to help, and they like had like they were actually like siblings, like they were buddies' children, like they were Air Bud's children.
That's right. That's right. These were all Air Bud's children. So Air Bud again got married, and what's weird is they talk, like their mouths move and they talk. I'm going to show you a clip from Super Buddies. But here's the thing: Air Bud doesn't talk. So like they have Air Bud and Mrs. Air Bud totally mute, right? They don't move their mouth at all, and their kids are like talking up a storm. This is Super Buddies.
I just remembered I forgot the hat that I want to wear that totally compliments my bow. There, much better. Here 1 minute, gone the next.
So they got superpowers in this one.
I don't want to take that hot dog into my mouth. That is the best trick ever.
So, now I know you're thinking, okay, so that's probably it for the Air Bud franchise. Oh no, so you remember how I mentioned Santa Buddies, right? So Santa Buddies was popular enough that it got not one, but 2 spin-off movies. Santa Paws and Santa Paws 2, the Santa Pups. So they literally made a whole new set of puppies for Santa Paws 2. Now, sadly, that appears to be the end of the Air Bud saga, but I do have another Christmas-themed movie about dogs. Now, before I show you the image, I'm going to explain the title, because the title doesn't make any sense unless somebody explains it. The dog, the titular dog in this next film, which you'll see is a parody, the dog is named Bone. And unless you know that, the title doesn't make any sense, right? So you now know that this dog's name is Bone, and that's why the movie is called Bone Alone.
Oh,
Look, he's just doing this. And this, I know you're like, oh, so what's the plot of this? You've seen Home Alone? That's what it is. It's like they leave the dog home alone, and the burglars break in, and the dog knocks them down the stairs, and it sets up traps for them, and it's Bone Alone. It's not the only Christmas movie. There's Up on the Rooftop, and I know you're thinking, oh, that's probably the best movie ever. You're absolutely right it is. Let's take a look.
Get me the dog!
It's like we're staring into the eyes of an old man. This is like one of those movies where they just, for the trailer, they're like, just cut things real fast. You know, like they showed like that like elf appearing in the middle of the street, and you're like, why is he there? I gotta find out. It's like they're throwing snowballs. Like, just show a lot of action. People won't know what's going on. They'll be so disoriented that they'll have to come see it. They want to know why that old man's staring at us. There is another Christmas dog movie, and this is probably my favorite of all the Christmas dog movies. It's a secret Christmas dog movie. Most people don't know that this is a talking dog Christmas movie until they watch it. But Look Who's Talking Now takes place at Christmas time, and a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you know, Die Hard takes place at Christmas, but it's not a Christmas movie. This movie ends with a Christmas miracle. All right, if you've seen it, John Travolta lives through a snowstorm that he's supposed to die in, and he comes in, and it's on Christmas morning. It's a Christmas miracle. Here is the trailer for Look Who's Talking Now, which includes a wonderful gift that I'm sure you guys have seen. Oh, hold on. I don't want you guys to miss this wonderful wordplay.
What do you say you and me go play Bury the Bone?
Mongrel.
Bitch.
No, we have two dogs.
Look how happy it makes them.
This is my stinky brother, Mikey. Cute pet dogs. It's the holiday spirit.
TriStar Pictures presents
What, no bubbles? Take it away.
Jeez, John Travolta.
Who cares if he can sit down? I can sit down, or if he can beg. Beg.
So the trailer, they're like, let's not let anybody know this is a secret Christmas movie. We're gonna hide that. But when you watch it, the movie the movie has a lot of Christmas in it. It also has that girl waving that thing around, which I get that GIF I get all the time. So, and it's like the first one that, like, if you use it, then you know how like they pop up the ones that you've used before. That comes up a lot, so I use that one a lot. So it's one of my favorites. Chomps. I don't know if anybody's heard about this. So Chomps was a movie. It was a 1979 movie. I like to think of this is like a TV sitcom stretched into movie length. This starred Valerie Bertinelli from One Day at a Time, Conrad Bain, the dad from Different Strokes. It also had Red Buttons, Chuck McCann, Jim Backus from Gilligan's Island. This is a great movie, and it's got a thing that disturbed me greatly as a child. So I'm going to share it with you. Be prepared. Something incredibly disturbing happens in this movie. And if you talk to anybody that's seen it as a child, they know exactly what scene I'm talking about.
Ryan, where's the new invention? I don't get it.
Watch this.
Ryan, what are you doing?
There you are. 3 years.
He's a robot dog. But still, he's like, how could I tell her that this is a robot dog in the most disturbing manner possible? I'll twist the dog's head till it pops off. I like this one. This was produced by Hanna-Barbera, by the way, the cartoon people. They also produced that Benji, Zax, and the Alien Prince. So Hanna-Barbera was doing other things than cartoons. They kind of branched out a bit. All right, this next franchise, I think there's probably got to be some fans of this one. Beverly Hills Chihuahua. This is 2008 film. I saw this in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard at the El Capitan Theater, which is owned by Disney, who put this movie out. And what they do at the El Capitan, for every movie you go to, they have some kind of pre-show. So, like when I saw Pirates of the Caribbean, they had this whole thing with pirates, like live actor pirates, and they shot a cannon from the balcony, and then the screen burst into flames. It was all like effects and stuff, but it was really cool. And then, like one time I saw the movie Dumbo. They did like a re-release of the cartoon Dumbo, and beforehand they had Chip and Dale in costume come out on the stage and dance, and they threw confetti and whatever. So there's always a show. And when I saw this movie, they had the actual dogs from the movie come out and do tricks on stage with the trainer beforehand. And I was like, this is amazing. This is like going to see a Brad Pitt movie, and they're like, all right, Brad, now come on, walk down on the stage. All right, now sit for everybody. All right, now stand up. Now play dead. And I'll be like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. I was like, the stars of the movie are here. This movie, you guys mentioned WALL-E earlier. This movie, the trailer debuted with the movie WALL-E, and it generated tremendous buzz. The movie was a success, and they actually did more than one. And it had Jamie Lee Curtis, who recently got her Academy Award, and who else was in this? I think Drew Barrymore did the voice of the female dog, and the male dog was George Lopez. So, really cool movie. But the trailer got so much attention because the trailer is just bonkers, and I'm going to show it to you now. This is the trailer.
I'm a Chihuahua. 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 King of all dogs, yo, and we ain't playing. Don't you fucking out direction, that's all I'm saying. Jealous? We're tiny, but mighty, we're number one. We're the real hot dogs, yo, hold the
I mean, I remember when I saw WALL-E, like after the movie, when like I was walking out of the theater, all the kids were like, we gotta go see that dog movie. We gotta go see it. And like everyone was like, that was pretty weird, wasn't it? And all of a sudden, there's like 50 dogs in song. That is not the weirdest dog movie, though. Earlier, I was talking about I had, for those of you who came in late, I had ChatGPT write a script for a live action movie where kind of like how sometimes they'll switch the genders on characters and stuff. I had Air Bud, Benji, and Lassie, and they were all humans, and they had a get-rich-quick scheme. And they're about to go to jail because they don't have any money. But then he says, and who says this? Let me just make sure I credit the right dog. Air Bud says, wait a minute, I got it. We can sell my VHS copy of Dude, Where's My Dog? On eBay. It's a rare find, and we can make some money. And they make enough money to pay back everybody from their pyramid scheme in the script. Dude, Where's My Dog? This is probably the greatest dog movie because they found a way to do a dog movie without even having to have a dog. This is a movie, they shot a dog movie, but they're like, what if the dog was invisible? Then we don't even have to, like, Joe Camp had that dog, and they had to yell, and, oh, come on, move forward, move it. They didn't have to do any of this. They'd just be like, hey, look at all the tricks the dog is doing. I'm going to show you a scene from Dude, Where's My Dog? Look, they're chasing, oh, here he comes. Oh, he got him. Dude, where's my dog? All right, this next one, this is Digby, the biggest dog in the world. I didn't put in Clifford, the new Clifford movie. I know I just showed one that has no dog whatsoever, but I kind of like to have ones that had real dogs in them rather than CGI dogs. Yes, a question from the Enterprise deck. There is a question.
I feel like we skipped it a little bit more with like just something funny I realized with Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Well, let's go back. Yes.
So like you're talking one thing about like seals, but this thing had really funny thing because it was like they looked at like kind of economy stuff. So it was like one dog was like like working as a gardener, but then he was in love with like the beautiful like blonde like princessy girl.
Right.
And
Yes.
it was really funny because the first movie I saw, they had like Beverly Hills Chihuahuas, like the most pampered people ever. So like they had like dog birthday parties.
Yes.
Place in the movie, and like dogs would be like having a pool party.
Yeah.
And, like, jumping around like eating food, which I thought was hilarious. And then the sequel for this, guess what?
Yeah.
Was them with puppies.
Of course it was, yeah. There's a knockoff movie to this. Like there's a movie that I saw one time in a store, and it was a, you know, like I want to say it was called like Malibu Chihuahuas or something, but it was like it was some, and I was like, is this a spin-off? And I was like, no, there's no Disney logo on this. Yeah, but here's the thing. I feel like in Beverly Hills they do throw parties for their dogs. Yeah. This is a classic, but yeah.
She has like a diamond necklace that's like legitimately worth like millions of dollars.
Yes, yeah, and that's why she like gets kidnapped. But like the sad thing about it is like, so George Lopez plays the gardener's dog. So like there's this class system with dogs, like, which I don't like. I don't like that dogs are, you know.
Like a real people class system. I'm like, this is wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say, building off of what she was saying, at one point, and I think the third movie, when they were going on.
There is a third movie, okay.
There's three. The first one, the sequel where they have puppies.
And they throw, and one of the puppies says, "Well, I'm 15 in human years," and they sort of throw her teeth in Europe. She has like a little dress. It's actually really cute.
All right, I think we're down to like the last minute, which is a shame because I have like 1,000 more dog movies to talk about. But I'm going to show you two real quick. The first one we mentioned. Clifford the Big Red Dog. This was, when I was a kid, I saw this movie. This is the Digby, the biggest dog in the world. And I'm telling you, the dog is bigger than you're imagining. So take a quick look. Look at this dog. Look at this.
Unfortunately, he's just too much dog.
So this was one of those memories from like when you're a kid where you describe it to somebody and they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, don't you guys remember that movie with the biggest dog in the world? They're like, Clifford? And I'm like, no, it was like bigger. He was like huge. So Digby, the biggest dog in the world, he's the size of a building. I mean, like, you can only imagine, like, you walk that dog. It's like that pile in Jurassic Park that Laura Dern's digging around and is going to seem like nothing. All right, here's the final dog movie, because I know we got to get out and other people are coming up. Russell Madness. Now, this was supposed to be called Russellmania, which was a play on WrestleMania. And then Vince McMahon was like, no. And so they were like, okay, we gotta change the name. So they called it Wrestle Madness, going with like Macho Madness, but it just doesn't make sense because nobody says Wrestle Madness. But anyway, 2015 film, and I'm gonna show you the trailer for it, and that's how we're gonna end this. So take a look at this.
There he is, the newest YouTube sensation.
Oh no!
It's okay, Russ. He cheated.
You actually think this dog belongs to you?
Russell will do battle with the hammer in a rematch.
And if he wins, we keep Russell.
Yeah, wrestling's real in this movie. From the creators of Air Bud, by the way.
19 pounds trying to take him down.
The strongest tag team is family. Yes.
That was just really funny. I was thinking, having the dog, they didn't have him like do a flip and like land on.
Yeah, the guy, he almost kills the dog. Like, you're watching in the theater, you're like, oh no. No, I'm just kidding. This wasn't in any theaters. But you're watching this at home, and you're like, oh no. Just because you're also worried somebody might catch you. I've seen it 20 times.
Underdog. What about the movie Underdog?
Underdog's a good one. That's the Jason Lee as the voice of Underdog.
I love Homeward Bound movies.
Homeward Bound's great, and the original set, The Incredible, they were called. So it was Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey, but it was a remake of a Disney movie called The Incredible Journey, which was three dogs, which was like maybe the 70s.
I've seen them all.
Yeah, and then they did Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
That's so cute.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. I know someone else is in here next, so.
Who has tried to take me down. He grabs my ankle, and I'm like, get off my
Grab any ankle you can get.
Well, that's what a good dog does. Yes, one more question. Yes.
I was gonna say,
Dog with a Bug. No, we were doing movie dogs. But I did touch on TV, so it's really not fair. I wanted to do that and Deer with a Beer, which is my other favorite show.
Have you seen Love Leads the Way?
I have not.
Okay, it's about the first CNI dog.
Oh wow! I should totally see that. What year did it come out?
And it's called Love Leads the Way.
Leads the Way.
It's Disney.
Oh no, I have seen that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen that.
It's pretty accurate.
Who's the gentleman that plays the lead in that?
Oh, I forget his name.
Yeah, no, it was hard to find for years. I had to get like a bootleg copy of it. Yes, I have seen that. It's like maybe like 1981, somewhere around there.
And then there's another Disney one they did called Atta Girl Kelly.
Right. I got that. I'm not sure if I've seen
that.
But.
It's called Atta
Atta
Girl
Girl
Kelly. And it follows the training and the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. I'm Guy Hutchinson. If you want to see me, I'll be downstairs all weekend. I got a table over in the green section. I'm right behind Elmo. So if you see Elmo, just go around him on the other side. And thanks for coming out, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
It was a lot of fun.